You can learn to play a song by merely listening to it. Well, in order to do that, we need to understand how music works. And in order to do that, we need a musical language. This is step 1. We need a musical language in order to discuss how music works. I'm no rocket scientist and neither are my students, so trust that you can learn this as well. Now this is a tone and this is a note. A note is what you read, write and speak, and usually we're talking about notes. The tone is just the sound it produces. The sound it represents. Notes are placed on a staff in order to represent the movement of the melody and the duration of the notes. This would be C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C. C going up to G, going down to C. And it would sound something like na 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 na. And this would sound something like this. Tap, 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 tap. You can see that the first note is the long one, taking up half the space of this whole measure, where this note only takes up a quarter of the space, and these notes each take up 1/8. Rhythm has to do with how we handle time. Does something last long or short? Is it fast or is it slow? You can't have music without rhythm. So in this video we're discussing how rhythm works, how to feel rhythm, and how to notate music in general. In my view, you need to feel rhythm before analyzing it, so let's start there. The typical drum beat goes like this. We would count this as 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason there's a 2 at the beginning of each of them is because I've placed this in the second measure, so you can ignore that for now. You'll notice we've got a heavy low accent on the 1 and 3. Where we got a heavy and high accent on 2 and 4. It might feel like walking since you can divide it up into groups of 2. Listen again. There's a left, right, left, right. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Each starting with a low accent and ending with a high accent. Beats can always be divided up into groups of 2 or 3. No more, no less. If you get less than 2, you got 1. And 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 will just start feeling like 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Because you just automatically fill in this back and forth. Breathe in, breathe out, left foot, right foot. And a group bigger than 3 also isn't possible. Because a group of 4 would just sound like 2 groups of 2. A group bigger than 3 also isn't possible, because a group of 4 would just end up feeling like 2 groups of 2, like we just heard. And anything bigger than that would just be divided up into groups of 2 and 3. The untrained ear might not feel or notice all these things immediately. If you don't, no biggie, you'll get there. For now, let your understanding inform your ears, and in time you'll get there and you will start feeling it as well. We talked about having a measure of 4 beats, but there are other amounts of beats possible as well, and we need to be able to distinguish between them. This is why we have time signatures. Now, I always thought this was a pretty cool idea, a signature to indicate how we deal with time. But I'm a nerd, so whatever. Anyway, if you have 4 beats, place a 4 here. This is to indicate we've got 4 beats in our measure. If we were to have 3 beats in a measure, you'd place a 3. If we were to have 6 beats in a measure, we would place a 6. We're not quite done yet though. Now sometimes music is very fast and sometimes music is very slow. Or anywhere in between. We want to notate them differently, as I'll show you in a second. What you need to know is that we also need to tell our reader which type of note we're using for a beat. Okay, so which types of notes are there? A whole note lasts for an entire measure. Typically that would be for 4 beats. So it lasts a whole measure. A whole note lasts a whole measure. Okay? It would keep sounding over the entire drum beat. It will be da, da. That's the length. Okay, a half note lasts half of that. Notice we can place the stem down or up. It mostly depends. This would be wrong because we want the note a bit lower. And this middle line here in the center, this decides whether you place the stem below or above. Generally, you want to keep the stem within the staff as much as possible. So don't do that. A whole note can be divided up into 2 half notes, which can be divided up into 2 quarter notes. Quarter notes don't have a hollow note head, but a filled-in note head. You would typically see a filled-in dot like that, but it's too much work in order to write quickly, so I just place a little dash and then connect that to a stem. The quarter note can be divided up into eighth notes. Keep in mind that if you place two eighth notes next to each other, you can connect them this way. After this, we can go to 16th notes, and now a pattern starts to emerge. Now we have two flags, which would be connected this way, or if we've got four of them, since four of them fit into a quarter note, you'd connect it this way, and you can make these shorter and shorter and shorter. Here we are already at 46th notes. I don't think I've ever seen these in an actual sheet, but you could theoretically make them, and they probably have been used. I just don't play the kind of music that used 64th notes. We're not going to go any smaller than 16th notes, since both the theory and the feeling of those rhythms can be applied to smaller notes as well. And while we're at it, let's check out rests as well, because sometimes we need to notate that you don't hear something for a certain amount of time. So here are the rests. A whole rest is hanging. It's resting, it's hanging, it's chilling. Whereas a half rest is standing on the line. See how one of them is hanging from a line and one of them is standing on a line, okay? So this is a whole rest, that's a half rest. A quarter rest is a bit more difficult to draw, but we're going to learn it anyway. We start with this Z-type lightning symbol, and then you add a sort of tilted C below it. So you get this, 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 right? Okay, that one's really messy. And again, from the 8th note on and from the 8th rest on, we're gonna get a pattern. That's an 8th rest, that's a 16th rest. Now we could make this bigger and bigger and bigger to make smaller and smaller rests. And this would be 64th. So that's how rests work, that's how you notate those. Okay, so now that that's behind us, let's return to the time signatures. So we determined an amount of beats, but we still have to determine which of these notes will be used for one beat. Now typically, the time signature that contains 4 notes uses a quarter note as a beat. So we notate that by placing a 4 here. We're basically saying this measure is made up of 4 quarter notes. Same way here, 3 quarter notes. Or otherwise, we could use 3 eighth notes, which would look like that. Or 6 eighth notes, which we can connect up like this. We'll get to that later. So this is going to sound like ta, 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 right? That's what this is. If we were to notate this, doing something like this, we would get ta, 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 the same thing. The only difference is the tempo, which we would notate in BPM, beats per minute. And that's a number like 100 or 120 or 80 or something like that. The only real difference between these time signatures is how you notate them. Now imagine something like ta, 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 ta. How should we notate that? Well, we're gonna assume it's a 4/4 measure, just for now, because it's ta, 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 right? That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 and 4. That's how I try to pronounce that. So this would be 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 and, making this 2 eighth notes. There are 2 notes in one beat. Ta, 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 ta. And then we close the measure and start a new one. Ta, 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 ta. You get 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's how you would notate that rhythm. Okay, so here we had 2 notes in the space of 1 beat. And here we had 4 notes in the space of 1 beat. 1 beat is a quarter note. So 2 notes in the same amount of time means we got 2 eighth notes. And 4 notes in the same amount of time means we got 4 16th notes. And this is as mathematical as rhythm will get. Once you got this, you're set. 2 notes in one beat, 2 8 notes. Okay? Notice we attach those notes to each other using a beam. Here again, a beam. When you're reading, let's say, busy rhythms, using a beam helps with readability. Now, as you'll start to read and write music more often, you'll get used to these notes and what they represent. At some point, you'll see that notating very slow music using 16th notes would be very counterintuitive. And notating very fast music using whole and half notes would be very counterintuitive as well. Also, it would be very inconvenient since you can't attach beams to attach half notes or quarter notes to each other. So a blast beat in metal, that's when the kick drum of a bass says okay, so that would be 16 of those beats in one measure. Let's see what that looks like if we were to say one beat is a whole note. You never see this is just pure theoretical, but that would mean we got 4 quarter notes per beat. How easy is that to read? Well, maybe you don't know. Let's say you're playing this and it sounds like okay? And they're saying, well, we want the 11th to be accentuated. That's how you create an accent. It's the sort of smaller than mark or bigger than mark. That's an accent. The 11th one is accented. Try and keep your eyes focused on the right notes in order to know where you are. Now the alternative would be to have a 4/4 measure, meaning 4 16th notes will make up one beat. Since a quarter note is a beat, 4 16th notes add up to a single beat as well. Now this is much easier to read. It's more ink for your eyes to process, so that's one thing to keep in mind. But now we've got these divided groups of 4, each beat being its own group. And the 11th one is now actually the 3rd one on the 3rd beat, which is much easier to process than just in an endless line of quarter notes where one of them somewhere in the middle is accentuated. So this is why we connect them using beams. Now what I've also shown you is that you group notes within their beats. You wouldn't. That would be really weird. Because the way you connect them informs the reader about what the music feels like. So this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 because it's 6 6 and 4. And this is 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. And what I'm tapping with my hand now, that's the actual beat. That's what it's actually going to feel like. 1 2 3 4. Like even if I were to play something like this, I could use accent marks 1 2 3 4 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 1 2 3 4 to put accents there, and then I would still feel 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Okay, so we'll get back to this at some point, but I had some audio issues, so now we've got this little camera angle. Anyway, they're going to be homework assignments. First we're going to practice it together, then we're going to launch into the assignments you're going to do by yourself. And this is very important because you actually need to practice it. These are skills, not just knowledge. Okay, so we're starting with a simple children's song. It's going to be the ABC song. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. To me, this feels like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4. Let's notate it. So I would notate it like this. It's 4 beats. We're just going to use 4/4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4. Notice that I'm leaving a little space here because this last note lasts longer than the other notes. Same here, and these are faster. We'll get to that in a second. We've got 1 and 2 and 3, and that's 2 per beat. So if we got 2 per beat, what's half of a quarter? It's an eighth. So 8 notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That just lasts 1 beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, keep in mind that we got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. The P lands on the fourth beat. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. So P, that is the last one. We don't have 5 notes in one beat here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, right? Or 3 E and a 4 is another way to count that. Now, let's imagine we're not actually singing the letter G for the entire duration of that beat, this one, but only for half of it. In this case, you would need to notate a rest, and it would look something like this. This note would be an 8th note, and we would have an 8th rest. So now we've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Did you hear the little silence here? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Instead of, if we had a quarter note there, it would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Okay, so that's how you notate rests. I'm assuming you don't know all the rests by heart just yet. We're just practicing together, I'm showing you how this stuff works, and after practice, you'll continue practicing using the homework assignments. For now, let's investigate further. Let's notate one measure of Baby Shark together. Now Baby Shark goes like this. You might have heard it, it's fairly well known. Now the weird thing with notating music is you're not actually notating what you hear. You're notating what you remember. So first listen, remember what you're supposed to notate, so that in your head you can slow it down and tear it apart and look at every little part. But you can only do that when you've remembered it. This is also why learning music theory is so relevant. You're now learning names for sounds and ways to identify what things sound like, so you can give your brain something to latch onto, so you can have a way to actually remember this stuff. So let's use memory to make it easier to notate. So what I'm going to do first is notate these. These are all the notes that could be used within this song, that might be used. Now we're going to look at the rhythm. Okay, so that's. I'm going to slow it down. Even slower. That's like that might feel like a glacial tempo to you, but when you're notating music, you can't go slow enough, because now we need to place all the notes that we've notated here in between. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, and 3, E, and 4, E, and we've got 1, okay, that's what this one is. Slowing it down, I was able to remember where each one went, and this is a skill that needs to be practiced. But giving yourself the full grid of notes, all of the and then slowing that down lets you be very precise about which note goes where. This would translate to 2 8th notes, and again 2 8th notes, and again 2 8th notes. This is different. It's an 8th note, and then 2 16th notes, which you can notate like that, an 8th and 2 16ths. Now Baby Shark uses very short notes, and what this actually says is da 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 da. But we want da 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 da. So that's different. Now you already know we can use this mark above a note to make it an accent. We don't want that right now. Right now you can place a dot beneath a note to make it staccato. Staccato just meaning short. Now, putting a staccato dot on a 16th note is unnecessary. Generally speaking, 16th notes are already so short that they're practically staccato. And if you were to notate notes like this, because you're up higher in the staff, then you would put it above, right? Now, staccato notes make it short. So this now sounds like ta 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 ta. It's the opposite of legato. Staccato is the opposite, it's not legato. Legato means all the notes are connected and long, la da 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 da. Staccato means ta 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 ta. Let's look at one more example together. We're gonna take a more serious song this time. Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. It goes something like this. Well, I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? Okay. Now this famous song is not in 4/4 time, it's in 6/8. Now how can we tell? So I'm just gonna count along with you for a second. Well, I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? I'm hoping you can hear a lot of notes landing on this grid that I'm creating here. It's a grid in time that I'm clapping. It's the beats. And I'm singing over them. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 6/8 feels like going back and forth, and each movement lasting 3 beats. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This distinguishes this time measure from a time measure using 3 beats, which would feel like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't go back and forth. It's just the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're just gonna notate, well, I heard there was a secret chord. That's it. Just that little part and just the rhythm of it. So if we're gonna feel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the question is, where do the first notes land? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Well, I heard there was a secret chord. So if you're counting along, then maybe you discovered it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I just counted out every single note there. I placed it within the time measures, or within the measures, but within this time signature. So 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so if the first note is not on the rhythmic 1, then what determines if something is the rhythmic 1? What is that even? Why does the measure start here and not there? Well, the rhythmic 1 feels like the rhythmic moment that has the most gravity to it. If I were to clap while I'm doing the time signature with my mouth, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Clapping on the 1 feels very stable and grounded. And arguably may be boring, but that's subjective, but it's at least stable and grounded. Let's see what happens if I do the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a bit more playful, but still very stable and grounded. That's because the 1 and the 4 are the downbeats. They're the stable and grounded moments in this time signature. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the other ones, 2, 3, 5, and 6, those are the upbeats. If I clap there, say I clap on the 2 each time, it's going to feel very different. First I'll do 1 for 2 measures, then I'll do 2 for 2 measures. And I'll count down before. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It feels very different to clap on the 2. It's much more interesting, less balanced, a bit more playful, a bit more, it invites dancing a bit more, maybe. That's my subjective experience of this rhythm. But this is the difference between a downbeat and an upbeat. So when we're talking about upbeat music, we mean music where the accents are on the playful moments in the time signature. And this is also why we started placing the snare drum, the I can't beatbox to save my life, but the that one's on the 2 and the 4 in a 4/4, where we have down, up, the kick drum on the downbeat, the snare on the upbeat. So That makes music feel upbeat as well as grounded. That's why this drum rhythm works so well. Anyway, we counted out what Hallelujah feels like. Let's notate it. Now in Hallelujah, all the notes fell either on the beat or not on the beat. There were no notes in between the beats. That's something you're going to notice with experience. You don't need to notice it right now, but this is what it is. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are two measures of 6/8. 6/8 having 6/8 notes like these. Okay, now we were wondering how to notate. Well, I heard there was a secret chord. And we counted it out like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, right? So we got 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I heard there was a secret chord. That, this would be that, and then David played and please the Lord, it would go on. But this is where the notes end up. Now, these first notes actually start before the melody lands on the 1. And if there's no music before these notes at all, you would call them the pickup notes. That's just what they're called. Typically speaking, you would compensate for this part at the end of the piece, but we don't really do that anymore. We just have some pickup notes that start before the rest of the music starts. So this is just 2 8th notes. I'm going to notate this note, which lasts as long as 2 8th notes, right? There's no new note here. We just sang, well, I heard there was a secret chord. That's a legato. It's not short. It's filling up this space. So what's as long as 2 8th notes? It's 1 quarter note. Then we've got an 8th note. Then here, again, 1 note that takes up the space of 2 8th notes. And 1 8th note. Well, I heard there was a secret chord. 3 8th notes. And if you're interested, then we would have a quarter rest and then 1 8th note for that. So that's,
well, I heard there was a secret chord. That,
etc. This is how you would notate the rhythm of this little melody. And now we get started with the homework assignments. Time for you to get to work. Here we've got a bunch of notes, but we haven't divided them up into measures. We still need to place lines in order to make this readable. As you can see, this is in 4/4 and this is in 6/8. Now we're starting with the first notes, so the first measure ends here. This is 1 beat, that's 2 beats a half note, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 2 8th notes together are the 4th beat, so this is where you place the line. Now it's up to you to place the rest of the lines in the right places. I'm purposefully not making a PDF out of this, and I urge you not to screenshot and print it. Write it all out by hand. This is necessary practice. Next, you'll need to notate something by yourself. Let's do Mary Had a Little Lamb. I'll sing it for you, just a small part you need to notate. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. That's it. Da 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 da. That's all you need to notate. Just the rhythm. Third assignment, tap on the table using your fingers. Just try some stuff out. And once you find some rhythm that you can play, that doesn't sound like you're an alien that doesn't quite understand how to human. Just any rhythm that sounds like a rhythm that might conceivably be used in any kind of music. As soon as you've got something, notate it. Notate what you just played. And then try something again until you find something, who knows, maybe something you even like, and then notate that. And one fun little exercise you can do here is to give your notation to a friend and let him or her tap the same thing, and let them also give you their rhythm that they came up with, and then you can share these things with each other. There are a couple of advantages here. One of them is somebody else is going to come up with different stuff than what you come up with. So you enrich your rhythmic imagination that way. Another advantage is that you now need to read something you didn't come up with yourself. You need to read it and play it, which is good reading practice. But it also means that your friend will read what you notated, and now you can see if what you notated is actually what you played. Now they're going to tap it and you need to figure out whether they're right or not. And then this discussion can lead to either finding out that you notated it the wrong way or that your friend read it the wrong way, which is great because those mistakes correct your brain so that you learn to read properly. Fourth and last assignment. Now do the same thing you did in assignment 3, but this time use a metronome. You can find free metronome apps for your phone, or you can just use any kind of metronome. You could buy these devices, but when starting out, I'd say just take a free metronome app on your phone. Now, because you're playing on a metronome, you're going to be forced to actually time your tapping well, to time it, okay? This might be what your metronome sounds like. And I'm going to clap now instead of tapping on the table, so you need to make sure you're on the beat, or in between. But you're going to be perfectly consistent if you're going to play on the metronome. And at some point you might divert. You might notice that your metronome is doing something different than what you're doing. And it's not the metronome who's wrong, it's your brain not properly estimating how long certain things should last. And because it's wrong and the metronome corrects it, your brain will get better at being consistent in its timing. So this helps with your timing. Okay, practice with a metronome. Alright, if you didn't do the homework yet, do that first. Pause the video, do your assignments, notate stuff, then come back to this video. We're going to talk about it right now. Okay, I hope you gave it your best. Whether you had the right answers or not is not as important. Our failures teach us more than our successes. So your brain is trying to pinpoint which symbol to use, or what something sounds like, or where you should time the beat, or whatever it is. And every time you're wrong, your brain will get corrected, which means your brain will get better at doing the right thing, at picking the right symbol, at remembering what things sound like, and these mistakes are necessary. So when I say, I hope you did your best, that's all that really matters, that you tried. This is an important one, we'll get back to it. Oh, and making these videos takes a lot of work, and I'd love to do it more and better, so support me on Patreon if you want. That's it. Okay, I'm just going to talk you through this one. We already know the first measure. Here, 2 eighth notes are 1 beat, 2nd beat, 3rd beat, 4th beat, so you need to place a line here. 1 beat, this is 2 beats long, so that's the 2nd and 3rd beat, making this the 4th beat. Here we got 2 beats, the 3rd beat, these 4 together are 1 beat for 16th notes, just like here, make up 1 beat together, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are done. Okay, 6/8. This is 1, 2, 3, 2 16th notes are 1 beat, because an 8th note is a single beat, so 2 16ths is 1 8th note in terms of length. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. Now it's going to get a bit more difficult. 1, 2, because a quarter note is 2 beats long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's how you did it. If you made mistakes, that's fine. Just keep practicing, keep notating, and try and read rhythms as well. Mary had a little lamb. First thing you need to know is in 4/4. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. So I feel this as Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 2 measures of 4/4. Now we got Mary had. Had is the beat. Mary had. Mary had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. This was sneaky. If I'm correct, you have answered this, and if you were correct as well, by notating something like this. Maybe. Or a 16th note, an 8th rest, and a 16th note. Maybe you didn't connect them. Here I used an 8th note and a 16th rest, 16th note. So maybe you use this, this, or this. However, you can use one dot to the side of the note, to the right of it, to increase its length by half. 1/8 plus 1/16, making this as long as it needs to be to fill up the entire beat. You didn't notice up front there was no way you could have had it right. If you had this, this is about as good as it gets. So we had a little lamb. So that's all very straight. We had a little lamb. We had a little lamb. Let's connect this up first. We had a little lamb. Okay. Little lamb, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So that was not too difficult. This is what was important, and this dot. We call that a dotted note, and it is note plus half of note. That's one more thing you just learned. Okay, now for the third and fourth assignments, do you even realize what you did? You improvised a rhythm, and then you decided on it by writing it down. You know, at some point you had to say, well, this is what the rhythm is going to be. Let's notate this. And then you notated it. So in other words, you improvised a rhythm. And you composed a rhythm by first improvising it and then deciding on it. That's what composition is, or at least is one way you can compose. You made a rhythmic composition by first doing some rhythmic improvisation. That's what this is. And it's important because in future videos I'm going to ask you to improvise or compose stuff. And it's a very, very, very important aspect of learning music theory. You cannot go deep without doing those things. Sadly, I can't check what you did and how you notated it. So I urge you to place it in the comments if you want feedback, and you guys can give each other some feedback. And of course, I'll give you feedback as well, as long as I'm able. And I'm still a really small channel, so I'll probably be able to respond to everyone. So just a quick recap now. A tone and a note, right? Okay, we've got time signatures, 2 numbers, the amount of beats, and then which note is used for 1 beat. There's a staff that consists of 5 lines. Next video we'll talk more about why those are 5 lines. And within this staff we've got measures using vertical lines. Now rhythm is how we handle time. Tempo is the speed at which the rhythm is played. Then you got the accent mark, the staccato dot, and the dotted note, right? Below the note and next to the note. Below the note to make it shorter, next to the note to make it longer. We've also learned what downbeat is and upbeat. The heavy rhythmic part, the strong rhythmic moment in a time signature, and the weaker and more interesting parts of a rhythmic of the time signature. So we've discussed notation and we've discussed rhythm. We've got everything we need to now start talking about melody. Now if you're watching this video fresh out of the box, I can't put the next video in the end card just yet, but if you're watching it during all of time except for these next few days, then you'll see the next video in the end card. Just click on the next one right here, or check out some of my other stuff, or go